Good morning, and we're on, and we're finally up to the final day of the Championship 2024. I've caught myself out. I've gone in too quick for myself. So we're going to have a look at the Championship final day. We know who's going down, Rotherham United. We don't know who's going with them, not as yet, and we're sort of sure that we're pretty sure who's going up, but we don't quite know yet. There's a pretty big goal difference to be overhad by Leeds should they need to go up. Should they want to go up in the automatic slot? Can they do it? No. So I think we know who's going to go up automatic. I think we know who's going to go down bottom. Well, we do know who's going to go down bottom. We don't know who's going to go down with them. Let me just look at the Championship table. We'll have a quick look at it. So we have Leicester at the top on promoted and as champions on 97 points. Says champ, they're 4 points ahead of Ipswich on 93. You have Leeds on 90 points. They could get to 93 points, but they've got a goal difference of 39. So they could. I'm totally wrong there, aren't I? So Leeds could catch them because they've got a 6 goal difference ahead of Ipswich. I was thinking it was the other way around. The unfortunate thing is who these teams are playing, and you wouldn't expect them to lose against the bottom teams. So I don't think Ipswich should have too much of a problem. But we're going to have a quick look at it, and a little bit more of a quick look into this because the top 6 is actually going to be quite interesting. Welcome. I've just got this a little bit too low because I'm a Rotherham fan, unfortunately. So we're going to have a quick look, and if you want to join in, please do, because we're going to be concentrating on the top 6 and the bottom 3. Top 6 really interesting. Leicester obviously promoted. Ipswich, well, they would have to really falter today to get into the top 6 rather than in the top 2. Leeds, they got a goal difference of 39, whereas Ipswich have got a goal difference of 33. Can they do it? Can they get above Ipswich on goal difference? Well, obviously Ipswich would have to lose, and they'd have to get lower than their goal difference would have to go down from 33. So technically, all these would have to do is win, and Ipswich lose. The interesting thing for me is the Norwich game, because Norwich are playing Birmingham, and that affects the bottom and it affects the top because Norwich could still. The goal difference they've only got a goal difference of 16. Okay, I mean Hull City could theoretically get up onto 73 points, but they've got to get 7 goal difference. So one would have to win by 4-0 and the other one would have to lose by 3-0 sort of thing. So possible? Well, yeah, I mean it is possible, but it's Norwich to lose 3 or 4-0 to Birmingham when Birmingham haven't been great at scoring over the last sort of 3-4 months. Can't really see it. So I think we pretty much can count Norwich as being safe. West Brom, however, are on 72. So we'll have a quick look at that in a minute, because 72 means that Hull City could actually knock West Brom out of that top 6, and by a clear point. So I think it's 2 clear points. It would have to be a win. So that's that side. The only thing that we've got really glaringly obvious there is Hull City could actually overtake West Brom. They could overtake Norwich, but there's a fair number of goals to be changed on there. At the bottom, we have Huddersfield, well, next to bottom, 45. They could get to 48 points. but they've got they'd have to. They've got a -27, whereas Plymouth have got a -12. So the goal difference there. I mean, yeah, you're not going to overturn 15 goals different in one game. Absolutely not. 7-0 and 8-0. Nah, forget it. So Huddersfield are technically down, even if they're not actually numerically down. Birmingham, they play Norwich. That's going to be an interesting game. They're in 22nd place, 47 points. Can they get out of it? Yeah, I mean, a win would certainly get them out of that bottom, probably up to about 19th. Because Blackburn aren't likely to win. Sheffield Wednesday, don't know. We'll see about that in a minute. And then you got Plymouth. And I just want to say something about Plymouth, because Plymouth have been really, really good. Bye-bye. And oh, you God, you come and chat. I don't mind. Go and chat. Don't just come in and disappear. Have a quick chat. I'm open to chatting about this. I think it's really interesting day. It's a great day. Come on. I mean, my team's going down, and I'm happy about this. This is a brilliant day. This is going to be so interesting today. Plymouth, 48 points, -12 goal difference. Now, they have got Birmingham behind them. If Birmingham drew, they'd stay on -16. Plymouth would have to lose. They've been scoring quite well at home. I believe they've got a better number of goals scored, so they'd have to lose by 5 goals if Birmingham drew to go below them. I can't see Plymouth losing 5-0. So if it's a draw between Birmingham and Norwich, Birmingham, I think, would be clear favourites to go down there. If it's a win, then, yeah, we've got to be looking at the likes of Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday and Blackburn. Don't know where that flash is coming from. And yeah, we could actually still see. I think Blackburn are still in the frame. You see, Blackburn have got -16 goal difference. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday can get clear above Blackburn. Plymouth can get above Blackburn. Birmingham winning would interestingly, they're both on -16. So Plymouth, if Birmingham won and Blackburn lost, Birmingham would actually be above Blackburn on goal difference automatically, because one would lose and one would win. So it's still very, very easy to see Blackburn going down. And we'll have a look at this in a minute. So let's just take a quick look at that. I think we really do have anyone from 19th and Blackburn all the way down to Huddersfield. Well, no, all the way down to Birmingham in 22nd, fighting to not have that last one slot in League One. So that's where we are with the actual the league. So let's have a look now. Game 1. Birmingham City versus Norwich City. We're a battle of the cities. If you look at the games that they've been playing and what the scores have been, you see that Birmingham they've won 2 out of their last 6. They've won Coventry 3-0, and they won Preston way back 1-0 at home. Both of those games were at home. They play quite well at home, and the fans really do get on at them. Although the Birmingham fans tend to say that there's no atmosphere at home. I think that the sheer number of fans does get behind the team quite well, and that's why they've tended, I think, to play better at home, even if they're not getting the results. Lost 2-1 away to Leicester. Well, you'd expect that. They lost at home to Cardiff 1-0. I probably wouldn't have expected that. Cardiff are beatable. They drew away at Rotherham 0-0. Relegated Rotherham, they come down and they draw 0-0, and neither of them look like scoring, to be honest. New manager bounce, yeah, perhaps, but it's still pretty dismal. And the Huddersfield game next, away, the last game, away at Huddersfield, 1-1. Really, it's not looking good for Birmingham City. Can they pull it out? Now they can. Look, 3 games ago, Coventry City at home, they absolutely murdered them. They were at home. They played really well. Now, if the right team comes out, Birmingham can beat Norwich. Absolutely. Norwich, to me, are a very average Championship side. Swansea City last time out, 2-2 at home. Bristol City the time before at home, 1-1. They only beat Preston 1-0 away. And then Sheffield Wednesday 2-2 away. Ipswich Town, they only lost. Well, they're okay. Ipswich Town 1-0 at home. They won. That was good. And Leicester City 3-1 defeat away. Now, none of that screams Premiership opportunity football club. None of that looked class. None of that sounded class, felt class. You read the team, and you could read the script of the game. I think Norwich is scripting this, and they're almost expecting, well, there's too many goal differences here to go out of the top 6, and they're realistically correct. So, feeling that they're relatively safe and they're relatively on the beach, and the fact that Birmingham City can play really well at home, I'm actually going to go for Birmingham City 2. And the camera's flipped round, so forgive me if I do it my way and it looks the opposite way around. Birmingham City 2, Norwich City 1. So Birmingham City 2, Norwich City 1. I think that Birmingham will be getting towards the end of this game thinking, holy crap, 50 points. If we go down on 50 points, that is going to be phenomenal. So let's look at the next game. The next game is Coventry versus QPR. This isn't a game of any importance. We've got Coventry in 9th on 64. They can just about catch Borough in 8th. And we've got QPR on 53, who really can't go anywhere apart from about 14th, 15th. They could theoretically drop to about 20th, but it's not particularly likely. So if we look at the stats, right, Coventry, they're at home, their last game of the season. What are they going to do? They're going to play pretty well at home, aren't they? I mean, this is a game for the fans. They've been playing pretty garbage in the league. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 defeats out of 6, one draw out of 5, 1 draw. The other draw is actually Man United's in the FA Cup. So take the FA Cup out of it and all the excitement of the FA Cup, and you've got 5 games, no wins. 1, 2, make sure they are all Championship. 1, 2, 3, 4 defeats and 1 draw against a side, QPR, that have been motoring. You know, will QPR play at poo-poo on the Coventry City last day at home, last day of the season? You know something? I think they will. I think it's going to be Coventry City 0, QPR 1, and QPR become safe. Well, they are safe, but they come in that position where they've wanted to be able to get to a hell of a lot quicker than what they did. Good turnaround there by QPR during the end of the season. Absolutely phenomenal turnaround. Really well done. Well done, fans. And the the chanting and the atmosphere that the QPR fans have created, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I've enjoyed it. Some of the chants that they've been coming out with, and you're thinking, chanting the hoops, and you're thinking, wow, this is just brilliant. Ipswich versus Huddersfield. This is one of the games that would have to go. This would have to go the way of Huddersfield for Leeds to have any chance for Leeds to have a chance of getting that second slot. Now, forgive me, but Huddersfield have been pretty dismal. They drew 1-1 against Birmingham, which actually was quite good, but it was at home, and they lost 4-0 at home to Swansea, 4-0. Then they lost down there 4-1 to Preston. In the middle, they drew 1-1 away with Bristol City. They did have a win, 1-0 before that at home to Millwall, which was quite a good performance, a very good performance, I thought. And the Stoke game, 1-1, that was a good performance, but that's 5 and 6 games ago. They seem to have recently just given up. And it's sad because they can play really good football. They can play really good football, and they have really good championship players. And you look at the squad and you think, they shouldn't be in that position. But it's the last game of the season. Ipswich are playing like they're playing like they're possessed. I mean, they've only won one out of their last 5 games, and that was the last time out, 2-1 to Coventry. And Coventry have been pretty dismal in the league, and then 3 draws before that. Can they? I think that the enjoyment and the excitement of the last game of the season is going to be quite intense. Ipswich have their manager came up with relatively no incoming players during the summer. They've done this with their League One squad. It was, they may. I think they probably did a few changes in summer, in January, but that summer squad was relatively the same as the League One. The manager is amazing. Their manager has made a League One team play totally different when they got promoted. And hats off to him. Hats off to him. I think that Ipswich will win this. I don't think it's going to be as easy as what you think. I think it's going to be a 1-0 win. I think it's going to be Ipswich 1, Huddersfield 0. And that will mean that Huddersfield are relegated. So we now have Rotherham and we have Huddersfield directly above them. So we've got 1 place left for the relegation. Leeds versus Southampton. Let's just face this: Leeds are going to be all out to try and get something here. They're even right up to the last minute. They're probably going to be thinking, yeah, Huddersfield could come back. They could win it. They're very good at late goals, Huddersfield. Yeah, we'll just keep pressing. I think this is good, but I think the players will be the ones to see this as it's not likely to happen. And I think although the managers will almost certainly try and keep the scoreline at Ipswich out of ear distance of the players, they will find out and they will realise that Ipswich are winning. And I think they will be winning, probably late on, but I think they will start winning. And I think keeping that information from them for as long as possible may actually be detrimental, because if it's 0-0 over there, tell them it's 0-0. As soon as you stop telling them, though, they know somebody scored. So you can't really assume that not telling them is going to be good or bad. So I'm going to think that it's going to be a bad point not telling them, because they're just going to assume that Ipswich are going to win that. They can't possibly lose against or not get a point at home against a side like Huddersfield in 23rd. I'm going to go for a 1-1. I'm going to go for Leeds United 1, Southampton 1. Both of them are playing pretty dismal. Both of them have let in 4-0 and 5-0. I mean, God, Leeds United lost 4-0 away to QPR. Brilliant game by QPR, battling to the end as well. They should have made it 6. And of course, Southampton lost against Ipswich, against Leicester 5-0. Pretty much the end of their season, that was, as far as the top two was concerned. So 1-1. And that's going to just keep those two in the playoff positions. And go next. Leicester Blackburn. There's only one winner here. And I think that Leicester are going to be absolutely firing. I mean, they beat Southampton 5-0. And Southampton were poor at the back, playing far too high up. That back line was far too high up. They kept getting caught out by the runs. And they didn't. See, Leicester can be caught out if you play high up. But they didn't. Southampton didn't have that edge at the front. So they never made the best of pushing them high up. Instead, pushing them high up actually was detrimental, and they got through their back three really easy. And I'm saying it like that because they're scoring for fun in these last couple of games. I mean, 2-1 win at home to West Brom is where it started, where they started to come back into it. So they played pretty poorly up to that point. And they suddenly realised, well, hang on a minute, we can do this, but we'd have to win every game. So they scored 2, then they scored 5, then they scored 3 against Preston. I think we're going to see a 4 or 5-0 to Leicester City. Last game of the season, they're celebrating being champions. They're going to have the cup in front of them. I'm going to go for Leicester City 5, Blackburn 0. Borough Watford. I'm not going to do much on Borough Watford. Borough and Watford are both on the beach. It's a shame. I think Borough could have done well. They can only they make it to 7th if Hull lose, but I doubt it. And Watford are just 56, pretty much out of it. Like I say, it's Watford. It looks like they tend to have a couple of games, 2 or 3 games not scoring, and then they'll score for a couple of games. They scored 1-0 out at home to Sunderland last time. I think this time it'll be a 0 for Watford. Cardiff usually has it's almost certainly has 2. They scored 2, scored 2, scored 2, scored 1, scored 3 and lost, and scored 1. I think that's going to be a 2. I think it's going to be a Borough 2, Watford 0. And Borough are going to feel really, really sorry for that, because they're going to be so close to that bottom edge of the playoff zone. They're going to be so close. They're going to really feel quite upset. Now, this is what I'm talking about, guys. This is Plymouth versus Hull City. What a game to give Plymouth on the last day when they need a point to stay up. I don't make sure I'm talking correctly there. Yeah, no, they may need no. They need if Birmingham do win, no, they need a win. They need a win because they'd be only on 49. So they need to win this if Birmingham do, as I say, win. So in order to stay up, with Birmingham winning and Sheffield Wednesday still to look at, they would have to be winning this. Plymouth in the last four, you can't count the Rotherham win 1-0. They lost before that to Bristol City 1-0. So in the last four, they've won one at home to Leicester City. They played really well. They did play really well. And Leicester played awful. But they played really well. Millwall, away defeat last time out. Stoke City, away defeat 3-0. Then the win against Leicester and then QPR 1-1. They've got a good side. They have got a good side. However, Ipswich are Ipswich last time out 3-3 for Hull City. Do they want to make sure? I mean, they did so well against Ipswich. They could have just they could have won that and put pressure on both Norwich and West Brom. They're both wanting to fight this one out, and because it's so interesting, so I can't even get off the fence. I just can't get off the fence, guys. I'm going to have to go 1-1. I just don't see if one team goes ahead, the other one's losing so much that they're going to want to try and make sure they get back into it. And they're going to throw the kitchen sink at the opposition. So if Plymouth go ahead, Hull City will throw the kitchen sink at them in the hope that Norwich City don't. In the hope that Norwich City lose 6-7-0, which they won't, but hoping that West Brom don't win. So I'm going to go with a draw with Plymouth Hull. I have to go 1-1. I can't see it being too much of a difference from that. Rotherham Cardiff, we've got a couple of injuries again from the last game. Obviously, Bristol City guy went in, took three, got brushed by our goalkeeper's hand, took 3 strides, and then jumped on the floor and got a penalty. Everybody's saying that's absolutely ridiculous. He should have got a yellow card for diving. However, we lost 2-0. We should have won our first. I think we should have won that one. But you know, when you get hit early on by a stupid penalty that's not a penalty at all, it's just disheartening. But when you're at the bottom of the league, it always, shit happens, and it happens regularly. So we're going to pretty much pass Rotherham as being hopeless for scoring goals. When did we last score a goal? Oh yeah, Millwall win in April the 1st, April Fool's Day. Oh great! How great is that? A month ago since we scored a goal. I don't think we're going to score. Borough, yeah, will they? Borough last time out 4-1 for Cardiff. We'd never do well at home against Cardiff, and the last time it was the one that got washed out, and we had to abandon it at half time, and the Cardiff fans said we did it on purpose. Okay, yeah, we control the weather, don't we? But I still think it's going to be Rotherham 0 and Cardiff 1. I don't think they're really too much bothered about this. But yeah, if we can win and go back to Wales with 3 points, the fans will be happy. So I think that's pretty much that one. Stoke City, Bristol City, again, it's one of those odd ones where they're both on the beach. Yeah, it's almost like a who cares wins. the way that Bristol City cheated at home to Rotherham and the Norwich City draw before that, just to me, I think Stoke have been playing really luckily. I haven't actually been enjoying the football, but they managed to sort of scrape. They scraped to win at Southampton, but they've been playing garbage. They won 3-0 against Plymouth, but they've been playing pretty poorly. They drew 1-1 against Sheffield Wednesday, who at the time was still in the bottom three. Defeat against Swansea, draw 2-2 against West Brom. That's probably their best result of the last six. 1-1 against Huddersfield. There's no real skill in what I've seen from Stoke City. I'm going to go Stoke City 0. Bristol City 1. Doesn't make any difference. Absolutely no difference at all. Then we get to this game. Sunderland versus Sheffield Wednesday. Now, go back. Sunderland, 56 points in his 15th place. Not going to go anywhere. Playing pretty dismal. Scores pretty awful. Were in right at the top, but then started losing points like nobody's business. Sheffield Wednesday in 50 points. They need 1 point to be absolutely numerically safe. So we go back to the stats and you see that Sheffield Wednesday haven't lost one for, my God, since April the 1st, 2-0 against Borough. Since then, they got 1, 2, 3 wins and 2 draws. There's only one winner in this. This is Sunderland 0, Sheffield Wednesday 3. And Sheffield Wednesday are safe. I'm happy about that. I know Rotherham United hate Sheffield Wednesday, but the idea that they pay their wage bill is so high, they can actually get the best players. And if they drop down to League One, I'm just worried that they're bound to be in the top 2 or 3 because they can pay their way into that top 3. And there's no the financial fair play down there. It does actually exist, but it's so poor that you can literally spend whatever you like. So they would be able to do that. So Sheffield Wednesday out of the bottom, out of the relegation quagmire. Swansea versus Millwall. Now Swansea versus Millwall. What the hell? I mean, they nearly mirror each other. If Millwall won against Plymouth last time out, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 wins in a row. If Swansea had have won Norwich instead of drawing 2-2 last time out, that would have been 4 wins for them. And before that, they both lost 2 games. So it would have been pretty much the scoring, the number of goals scored. Yeah, they've been pretty much similar all the way through. I just think that Swansea are ending the season playing just that little bit better than Millwall. And Millwall have been up and down. This could go either way. It really could. Don't care. It doesn't matter. I think that the home fans and the last day of the season, and hell, we stayed up. We weren't going to go up because there's too many good teams in this league. Swansea 1, Millwall 0. Great home day, great end of season. Neither set of fans will be upset by that. I don't think it'll be a trouncing where one set of fans go off upset. I think they're both going to be pretty happy. Then this is the other game. So because I'm obviously thinking with the whole game that you're going to see most likely it's most likely going to be a draw. But I think Hull City. I keep going back to this one because I think Hull City will win it. I can't remember what I said, but should Hull City win that, they are. This next game is actually quite critical. Because if they could get to 73, then don't go too far. Then can West Brom beat Preston? Now, it's a game of who's been the worst. Preston 1, 2, 3, 4 defeats in a row. 3-0, 1-0, 3-0, 1-0. Hell, they can't score. Before that, 4-1 win against Huddersfield and a 0-0 to Watford. So in the last 6 games, they've scored in one game and they scored 4 goals. It's very difficult to see Preston scoring. It really is. I mean, where are Preston? They must be pretty much, 63 points. They can finish on 66. So close after being first, so close to 6th. And yet they were first for so long. But Watford, West Brom lost 3-0 to Sheffield Wednesday, 2-1 to Leicester, which was pretty good, and it was away from home. But then they only lost. They lost 1-0 to Sunderland, and Sunderland been playing pretty awful. I think they were pretty lucky to win at home to Rotherham 2-0. And I think they had a lucky draw against Stoke City 2-2. They've been really lucky, is what I'll say to that. They've been pretty lucky along the last few games. It's either going to be 0-0, or I think Preston might just be able to spoil the party. I'm going to go 0-0. I just cannot do 0-0. Now, if it is a 0-0, we have to go back up there and see that West Brom would move to 73 points, but they've got a 20 goal difference. That would see West Brom staying in 6th place by goal difference possibly over Hull. So we would have Leicester City, Ipswich going up. We'd have Leeds, Southampton, Norwich, and West Brom in the playoffs. And in the relegation, we would have obviously Rotherham, Huddersfield. Birmingham would get 50 points. Plymouth would get, if they lose, I still think they could. Can they win? No, I don't think they can. So Plymouth would be Plymouth would go down on either 48 or 49 points. Yeah. Wednesday miles up. So yeah, I mean, you could. I think we could quite easily see Plymouth on 49, Blackburn on 50, and Blackburn wiping their head, thinking, "My God, that was close." 1 point between them and Plymouth. Plymouth may just be able to get out of this, but to really beat Hull City. They can be up and down. They can play really well and they can play pretty awful football. They played badly against Rotherham both times, but won because they were bad. We were dreadful. I think that cuts it for today. 24th, Rotherham. 23rd, Huddersfield. Right number of fingers and the right way around. 22nd, we have Plymouth. Sorry, guys. As for next year, if it is Plymouth and Huddersfield that comes down with us, Huddersfield have the ability and the fan base to be able to make a really good shot at it next year. They will be doing their utmost to come back up. Plymouth have a good squad, and their wage bill isn't that bad. It is a little bit high, but it's not too bad. Back in League One, they know they can spend whatever they like. As long as the owner's happy with keeping those wage bills and they haven't got a release clause in any of their players' contracts, they should be up there next season quite easily. So, Rotherham, we've lost most of our players over the season. We will at the end of the season. We lose our great goalkeeper for £1 million to whoever manages to entice him to play for them. He's a great person as well as a great player. He wears the town where he's living on his sleeve, and he will be an absolute gem for the community wherever he goes. As for the teams coming up, we have we want to go into League One. So we have Portsmouth coming up. They have the fan base and the financial clout behind them to stay up. They absolutely do. You can see them doing a Sunderland and an Ipswich and being right up there come the end of next season. So I fully expect Portsmouth to be up there and fighting away. Derby County, they have Paul Warne. He's not very good in the Championship. If Derby County keep Paul Warne, I think they're going to be in the bottom 6. If they get rid of Paul Warne and get a Championship manager in, that owner actually wants to spend money and he wants to keep them. He wants to get them back into at least that mid-table position. And I think he will if they get rid of Paul Warne. If they keep him, I don't think they can get past that bottom 6. I really don't. At the minute, Bolton look like beating Barnsley. Peterborough, Oxford. Could be either way. But either way, if Peterborough win, then it's going to be an interesting Peterborough-Bolton. I think if Bolton were playing Oxford in the final, I think I'd go for Bolton. If Bolton play Peterborough, then I would be thinking it's a very, very close game, isn't it? Either way, Bolton or Peterborough, I think both of those are going to be in the bottom 6 because there's far too many good sides in the Championship. You look at the fact that Leicester are leaving it, the teams are leaving it are going to be most likely Ipswich. Yeah, a side that can play quite average Championship football, you'd expect. So to go straight into Championship and straight up and out into the Premiership is phenomenal. But teams would be thinking that they could do they would have done a Sunderland and sort of drifted into the middle next season. And then you've got Leicester and you've got possibly any one of the others. I think it could be someone like it could be West Brom actually. But with those three of that stature going out and similar stature coming from the Premiership down, so Luton replacing the likes of Ipswich, Sheffield United and Burnley being the other two most likely coming down, replacing the two good sides coming up. I actually think if it's West Brom and Leicester that those two sides are replacing, we've got two better sides coming down than have gone up. So the skill level at the top's now raised a little bit. The skill level at the bottom coming up has raised a bit because Plymouth and Rotherham going down and replaced by Portsmouth and Bolton. That's better coming up than going down, surely. The only one that's different to that is Huddersfield, because Huddersfield coming down is almost like matching Portsmouth coming up. So what you could say is Huddersfield come down, Portsmouth come up. No skill difference. But then you've got Rotherham and Plymouth coming down, and then you've got the other two, which is probably good to like Bolton and one of the Peterborough / Oxford type teams. Slightly more skill coming up than coming down in those two, in my thoughts, especially with the crowd at Bolton. Bolton would certainly be in my eyes, at the minute, slightly more skillful than both Plymouth and Bolton, Plymouth and Rotherham. So we're going to have more skill in that league, and there's more money coming in next season from Sky Football. It's going to be an interesting championship next year. I'm sad that we're not going to be in it, but next year's going to. We said this year was going to be hard, and I will do a review on what I said would happen and what actually happened at the end of this. And by this afternoon, hopefully, I'll do a review, my first review of what I said, and we'll go through it. Dear Lord, cough and take. Meningitis did my lungs in, I'm afraid. And I think that it's going to be an interesting video. So this later on this evening, possibly, or tomorrow morning, we'll do my recap video. I want to be one of the first to do a recap video, and we'll go through it. I actually think I did some pretty good analyses there. So we'll go and see. We'll work it out. I'll come back on and we'll get a little prediction response video, and we will then go through and we'll look at what we think for next year, because I think next year will be a bugger of a year. Just quickly before I disappear, if anybody does listen to this, put in the comments who you think is going to be in the bottom three next year, because I don't think personally that Portsmouth are going to be in the bottom three. We've got Bolton underneath them. They've been in the Premiership, just like Portsmouth. They've finally gone out of that League One. Are they really wanting to give that up at the first attempt and come back down? No. Have they got the money? Have they got the fan base behind them to be able to spend a little bit more to stay in there? Yes. Have they got more money coming in from Sky Sports? Yes. Does that mean that they've got an ability to try and use that better than the clubs above them and stay in that division? Yes. Does that mean they'll stay up? No. But they've got a damn good chance. So I think that Bolton will be on that bottom six edge, right at the top, just a little bit like Plymouth were for so long. But I think they've got the ability to try and stay there. They may bobble down a little bit. It depends on how much work they do during the summer. I would have to say that whoever comes up with them through the playoffs will be favourites to be bottom. I would have to say that, because I just don't see that the skill level in that division next year is going to be ridiculous. Sheffield Wednesday have brought in a great manager. Whether they keep him, I don't know. But if they keep him, they're going to be in mid-table at least, because they've been doing. They've actually been playing top six football. Apparently, their points and statistics have put them in the top six for the last 2 months, I think. Can they stick that out next year? Yeah, absolutely. QPR who were down there, well, we've seen what they can do and what the fans can bring out of that team. Unfortunately, they've only got Elias Chair really at the minute as a superstar. If they lost him, they'd be dead. I think that they might very well lose Elias Chair, and then they're just going to. And the reason why I say that, I think that what's going to happen is they're going to be thinking, we need to do an overhaul because of what I'm saying, and we need to make sweeping changes. And if that means getting rid of Elias Chair, getting some money in, and if they indeed can, I don't know what his contract is, then they'll probably do it so that they can get more players of a championship quality in the squad that can be stars. So it's going to be a risky business. I think QPR will be at the top end, like Bolton, at the top end of that bottom six. But who else do you put there? Blackburn. No. we've literally got one of the playoff places coming back down. We've got QPR somewhere at the top of that 6, Bolton somewhere at the top of that 6. We've got another 3 to choose there. Blackburn, I've still got another 2 to choose. Sunderland played pretty awful this year. You know, you can see how difficult it is. You're almost pulling threads out of the sky as well. Which way is the wind blowing? I'd love to know if anybody reads this or listens to it. Put in the comment who you think is going to be bottom 3 next year, because I tell you what, my prediction video is going to come out pretty soon. I haven't a bloody clue. Join me. What time are we on? 11 o'clock. We'll be doing live. We're going live about 12 o'clock. This is going to be a phenomenal weekend. May the 4th be with you.